E422, what is the problem? Today I'm going to show you what error code E422 could be telling you. Today I'm going to be changing out a sensor and showing you how to change a sensor on a ducted unit, showing you the SNet tool, the SNet software, and how to find out what the problem could be with error code E422. You're watching HVAC Tips for Technicians. I'm Tad. Let's get started.
Used to be a package heat pump here. I took that package heat pump out and put in this Samsung ducted unit. The ducted unit is in the crawl space. This is the outdoor unit. You can see I've got my gauges hooked up because today it malfunctioned and I'm out here trying to figure out what's wrong with it. It gave an E422. I'll show you the ducted unit. And E422 means there could be a clog in the service valve, or it could be a bad PCB. Oh, looks like we got some tape coming off. Pretty sure we installed this around the 2015, 2016 area. So, homeowner says it has not been serviced, and for it to be installed in 2016, and now we're having our first problem. Pretty good, 6 years. Using my SNet tool and the software, SNet Pro 2, which you can download on samsunghvac.com/downloads. Got my wires hooked up to F1 and F2 there, and that goes back to my converter box here. You can see how I got plugged into RS485, and then it goes from USB RS232 to COM3. I've got it labeled. Went in and hit connect, and now I can measure. I can look at some of these temperatures, try to see if anything's off. What I'll do is I'll look at the sensors, try to see what they're reading as far as the indoor sensors, outdoor sensors. I'll look at my EEV valve, want to make sure it's opening and closing properly because I got an E422. And because I have this software and this tool, I'm able to find the problem already, and I don't even have to go inside and check the sensors. Look, evaporator inlet, 158 degrees. I think not. That's way off. Evaporator inlet should be just about as the same as the evaporator outlet, especially with the unit not running and hasn't been running. So E422 for me is a bad indoor sensor. I'll get the new part in, I'll show you the old sensor and the new sensor, show you the readings and why I know for sure it's a bad sensor using my meter, not just the software. We'll get this unit fixed. With the indoor sensor not reading correctly, that's affecting my EEV valve, and it's closing. And because it's closing, it's causing an E422 error. Got my two part numbers, assembly thermistor DB9505009D, and then up here, assembly thermistor in DB9505011E. I'll order these two parts, and this is an exploded parts view. This is the section I was looking in. Hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that bell, ding, so you know what I'm doing. If you want tech support, you want help with your project, you want a troubleshooting guide for Samsung mini splits, click the join button. Become a member. Let me know in the comments, say I joined. I will send you my email, and that'll lead to contact with me. If you want information about joining, then go check out my membership levels. I've got the sensor in to fix this equipment. I have not looked at the other sensors. We are going to test the old sensor and the new sensor. I'll show you how to use a meter and do that. Before we get in the crawl space, we're going to use the SNet tool, and we're going to use the controller, and we're going to turn this equipment into the cooling mode, and I'm going to show you what the EEV valve does before we fix the equipment, and then we'll look at the after, and you can see the difference in the EEV valves and the functions before the equipment is fixed, with this sensor being the problem and it not reading properly. So let me show you this. All right, we're gonna go where it says controller. We're gonna click that, and the control is gonna pop up, and we're gonna go up here where it says select all. Okay, we're gonna select all. It's gonna select the ducted unit, and we're going to change our operation mode to cooling. We're gonna push on. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my fan speed to high, and then I'm gonna lower my set temperature down to a 65, 64. Yeah, that would work. All right, now that we've got it in cooling, unit should come on. We'll wait till it comes on, and then I will show you what the
EEV does. And you can see evaporator inlet temperature is 152, and you know that's not correct. Rim temperature is 80. All right, equipment's coming on. We're gonna go down here to where it says outdoor unit data. We're gonna see EEV1 says 80. All right, so EEV says 80. All right, let's go back down here. Indoor unit data. Go back up. Doesn't really tell us any info there. Go back down, outdoor unit data. EEV now says 155. All right, so let's see how long this runs before it sends us an error code and the equipment shuts down. Love this tool. Outdoor temperature is 86, discharge 96, compressor top 88, target discharge is 115, 119. EEV is 155. We should see a noticeable difference when we fix this equipment. EEV is 168. I love the fact that you got the controller though. You can set the temperature. This is great because the homeowner's not home. I'm here to fix this equipment, and it's great that I can turn the equipment on cooling after I get done to check it. EEV is 180. Indoor unit data, evaporator outlet is 50 degrees, and evaporator inlet says it is 144, which is ridiculous. Outdoor unit data, go back to the EV 228 still. We made this crawl space door out of some 1-inch liner spot pinned to a piece of metal that was hemmed around all four corners, all four sides. Carry some black plastic with you. See, this is not very big. It doesn't take very much room up in my vehicle, and it comes in handy because when I have a crawl space and it's wet, it's muddy, I can just lay plastic down before I go inside the crawl space. And this is 10 foot by 25 foot, and it's made by Warps. It's plastic sheeting, and it's 4 mil, okay? So, really comes in handy. And I don't need much, but what if the homeowner has to get back in here? They'll be very thankful that you roll some plastic out. Right here, real quick. All right, make sure you got a Phillips screwdriver or a Phillips bit like me. We're going to take a couple panels off, that way we can get to the wiring, the plug, and the sensors. And there's the sensors. And if this equipment is not installed properly, meaning there's not enough clearance for serviceability, it can be a nightmare getting to these sensors. I've had to take the ductwork off. I've had to take the top panel off or the bottom panel off just to get to the sensors, and it can be a total headache. So this one's going to be pretty easy, and I'm really glad. All right, equipment's still running, nice and cold. Alrighty, probably take this off too to get to my fingers in there. Definitely get some more zip ties, that way we can put the zip ties back that we cut, like this one. Alright, there is our sensor, our plug for our sensors right here. We're going to wait till the equipment shuts off, and then we will get these sensors replaced. We're going to take the old sensors off, then we're going to test them, and then I'm going to put the new sensors back on. So This right here is the plug. By the way, cut the power before you do it. Here's the sensor right here for the evaporator. And right here, inside here, if you can see, these are the wires. And then over here, kind of up in here, if you can see this, see each sensor? Do you see them? I don't know if you can see it or not. Need to make sure you can see it though. There's one and there's the other, okay? It's kind of hard to get your finger in there, but you want to flip up that little metal piece and then pull the sensor out like this. Watch. All right, and there's one sensor that's out. Oh, looks like we got a little corrosion there. And then the other sensor, same thing. There's a little piece of metal. Flip it up and then come through here and then pull it out. All right, so that's the other sensors loose. I'll pull those out of there. All right. Looks like there's another little bracket that holds it right here. Oh, that's another little wire tie. So may have to cut that. Be careful when you're cutting wire ties. Sometimes you can cut a wire or you can cut copper. All right. This one has got to be some of the easiest sensors that I've had to replace. It should all be easy, unless it's installed improperly, and then it's not easy at all. Let's go test these. Got the old sensor and the new sensor. These are 10 kilo ohm sensors. If you're interested in having a resistance chart where you can use that chart and use your meter to figure out if sensor's bad, I've got 10 kilo ohm and 200 kilo ohm charts. I can send that to you. Just click the join button, become a member, and let me know in the comments. Let's go ahead and test these sensors. All right, so we're gonna do the bad sensors first. Now, should read in the 10 kilo ohm range. I'm gonna hold the meter right here. All right, so that one's 2.7. You see that, 2.7? All right, now let's go to the next one that's right beside it and measure and see what it says. It says 10, and that's what you want, not 2.7. Now we're going to take the good sensors here and measure the resistance on the good ones. Oh wait, wait a second. Oh, a little bit harder to get to it. Okay, it's a little bit different design. All right, let's see what we got. 9, that's good. And then, oh, I know that ain't correct. 9, okay. All right, so this reads good. This did not read good. One of them read 2. All right, let's go ahead and install the sensor, and then I'll show you on the software how the equipment operates with a good sensor instead of a bad sensor. This little metal clip is what holds these sensors inside of that little piece of copper pipe. You just put this around the wire, and then after you push it inside, you just fold this down, okay? And then it'll hold it in there. All right, just wanted to show you that. All right, now I'm gonna put these sensors in. Be very careful, make sure that you unplug the power. All right, this right here goes right here. Oh, watch out. Watch out, please. All right, plug that in. This is the only time I wish I had smaller fingers or hands or something, but don't ever wish that. All right, that's plugged in. And let's put these sensors in the right spot. Both sensors are in. Perfect. All right, gonna put the little condensate pump back in. It's not being used. We're using the gravity drain on this one. If you want to know more about how to get to a condensate pump and a cassette, I'll drop a video down and a link in the description of how to take a 4-way sealing cassette apart and error E422, which has to do with the pump. Look at that. This thing is turning. Huh, it's pretty cool. All right, put it all back together. Smart design. I like the way these Samsung units go together. These Ducted units are nice. It's too bad we're running out of equipment.
All right. Missing a screw. I'm always missing a screw. Okay. All right. Found the screw. Let's go restart the unit. Get the parts list offline off samsunghvac.com. Go into the technical documents. You can download a parts list for any unit, model and serial number required, model number required, and then you can get the part number, which looks like this. Like this one's DB9505011E. All right, let's connect. We're gonna connect layer F1 and F2. Get to our controller, select on, cooling, high, and then turn that temperature down. Let's see what happens. All right, now go down here where it says outdoor unit data. EEV position is 480. Unit should kick on. This is how I'm powering my computer with my little cheater cord here. You can make one. Just get some SJ cord, a plug or receptacle, and then a couple clamps. Unit should kick on. 0000. I will not need back in here, but the next guy will be super happy because of all that nice plastic. And I don't need it. I'll go get another roll and put it on my truck. Unit's kicking on. Let's see what's happening here. EEV position is 80, all right. Target discharge is 112. Look at our sensors now. I wonder what they say. Indoor unit data. Oh, looky there. Evaporator inlet is no longer 150. It's 69. Evaporator outlet is 68. These are going to read about the same, especially when the unit's off. So keep that in mind. All right, let's go back to outdoor unit data. EEV is 80. Compressor current is 2.5. EEV is 155 now. All right, that was a quick jump. Good. All right, unit's ramping up a little bit. Should see a little bit of a change. It's only literally been 30 seconds since I hit the stop button on the camera. So EEV just changed from 155 to 180. Ramping up some more. Target discharge 135. Oh yeah, I hear it ramping up now. Indoor unit data. Evaporator inlet is 47. Evaporator outlet is 55. Got some temperature difference. Very good. Go back down. Outdoor unit data. EEV is now 230. Beautiful. All right, about a minute later, EEV 228. So it was 230, now it's 228. Let's go back to indoor unit data. EVA, evaporator inlet is 48, evaporator outlet is 50. Perfect, so those are close together now. That's great. Great news. Back to outdoor unit data. 228.
Hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned something. Let me know what you learned. If you learned anything, let me know in the comments. If you don't have a question, that's okay. Let me know who you are. Let me know where you're from. You've been watching HVAC Tips for Technicians. I'm Tad, and I'll keep you cool if you let me.